I was born in a small town in Wales called Llanelli, where my father was a steel worker, and my mother was very anxious that I not follow my father. And at age 11, for some reason, I did very well in an 11+ examination, as they called them then. And I won a scholarship to go to a boarding school, a boys' boarding school. And at age 12, I suddenly discovered that I was very good at Greek and Latin. And also, strangely, in that same year, I have a photograph to prove it, I played Olivia in Twelfth Night. And I'm in a black velvet dress, looking remarkably like my aunt. And I was there for 6 years, and I learned my Greek and Latin well, and I also ended up playing Hamlet and Richard III. And again, I won a scholarship to go to Cambridge, to Clare College. And in those 3 years, at first, I was tempted to do theatre and Greek and Latin. This process, which I'll keep short, is about the strangeness of what happened to me at 12, learning Greek and being in Shakespeare, that I'm still doing 60 years later. It's very strange. But when I went to Cambridge, I found myself on stage with Corin Redgrave and Trevor Nunn, of all people, who had a very small part. And I did my degree, but at that point something else happened. I had come from this small steel town, and I felt it was very strange to take the option of going into theatre, which a lot of my contemporaries were doing. It was the time for great theatre at Cambridge. In fact, everyone called the young people there the Cambridge Mafia afterwards, because they went on stage and did all kinds of things. But you know, when you did a classics degree in those days, you didn't actually expect to keep on doing it afterwards. It was, the main possibility after that was, in fact, that you might join the diplomatic corps or go into business. And the first job offer I had was from Cadbury's. And then something strange, very strange happened, which is a man from my small town in Wales, a village next to mine. The village is called Pwll, spelled P-W-L-L. Try it sometime. He had come to America in the 20s, and he'd made a small fortune, and I emphasize small. But he left that small amount of money to this village on the grounds that every 5 years one person could come to America, and as long as they went to a university. And I won it, and I didn't know what America was, I didn't know what an American university was, and I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I was 22. So there was this man in the pub where I played darts, a very large man, a sort of professional American. He had a cigar, and he taught history in the corner of the pub. So I asked him, what should I do? And where should I go? And he said, you should go to business school. And East Coast is great. You should apply to Cornell, Harvard, and the University of Miami. I had no idea, and I did apply to all of them for business school. The University of Miami's first question on its form was, what is your personal net worth? I did not know if that was an ethical question or a financial one, so I said no. And I ended up, because Harvard wanted me to stay for 2 years, I ended up at Cornell. I was in the business school for 8 days. And I drifted yet again into doing some theater. I met my future wife. She was playing Rosalind. I was playing Orlando. And then I did look back in anger. But I finally did a PhD in Greek. But yet, I had no idea what I was going to do with my degree or my theatre. I was still young. And very suddenly, and here it comes to Hyde Park, I had a phone call high above Cayuga's water from a building over there, the Classics building, and a thin voice belonging to Anne Pippin Burnett, who was the chairwoman at that time of the Classics department. And she said, would you like to come to teach at the University of Chicago? I was 26, and my graduate students are still envious. 26, and I had no idea my vision of Chicago included fedoras and people packing heat, I think. So she said, come, and I came, and I went around Hyde Park. And one evening, this is just to look over, I walked past Botany Pond, over the little steps, and into Hutchins Court. And it was extraordinary because those elms that were there, those of you who can remember, they were 80 years old and they were huge, and it was silent, and there was a Shakespearean play on a makeshift Shakespearean stage, and it was very calm and very quiet, and I've never forgotten it. And I said yes, and I came here in 1966, and finally I said, no more theatre. Absolutely not. I'm just going to teach Greek. And the first course I was given was Aristotle's Ethics, about which I knew nothing. And very quickly in this extraordinary place, someone who was a great thinker about the Romantic poets, his name was Jerry McGann, he said you should do a play, and he suggested a play by Byron which had never been done, which was Cain. And we did it in Rockefeller Chapel, and he published everything he ever touched. He was that kind of academic, and he published an article on that immediately, and around the world, the first production of Byron's Cain. And we did a couple of things like that. We did The Marriage of Heaven and Hell by William Blake, my God, with a set done by Virginio Ferrari, the sculptor who is still around here. And because of that, suddenly, Edward Levy called me, and here we get to Hyde Park, because of that and a few other pieces that I'd done. And in a typical Edward way, he said, do you think we should have a professional theatre here? I said, I have no idea, but I think it would be a good idea. And then he revealed in his wonderful way that his brother Julian was trying to preserve Hyde Park in one way, but he had a different way. And his different way was that he felt, and this was absolutely revolutionary because it was not on any other campus anywhere, that one way to enhance the neighborhood would be a nice way he put it, would be to bring the professional arts here, and I mean professional, not connected to teaching, not connected to students. And where the bowling alley and the parking lot now is, was meant in his eyes to be a dance studio and a concert hall, right next to the Smart Museum. So he put it on me first to see if we could do the professional arts. And there was a lot, I must say, in those days, a lot of antipathy to even thinking about doing the arts in any way other than as history and philosophy and aesthetics. Not to do them, but just to think about them. But he was adamant. And so I began by building a small theater across the street, the ground floor of the Reynolds Club, and we hired actors, professionals, and we did The Dollhouse, we did Juno and the Peacock, and various other plays, and it became successful. But now there was a problem. We were going to have to find the money to build a theater. because the important thing that this was to belong to the community. It was not to be part of anything the students paid for. It had to be self-sustaining. And so I was required to raise $5.6 million in the middle of the 1970s, which we did partially through the generosity of anonymous board members who now can no longer be and have to be anonymous. It was Gaylord Donnelly and Marion Lloyd, and the two of them were extraordinarily generous. And then Edward left to become Attorney General, and we were abandoned. And it was very hard, but we kept on doing the plays and raising the money. And finally, Jonathan Fenton and Hannah Gray decided that we should do the final push, and by the end we raised enough money to build the building, but not the 400-seat building that we started out with the money for, because inflation, if you remember, was 8% and 9% a year. We were losing 50 seats a year. So finally, Harry Weiss and I spent a year going around the United States because there was nothing like it, no professional theater on a campus. And we went around looking at theater, and we had an extraordinary time. I remained sober. And we went around and we saw an extraordinary number of extraordinary theaters, and we came back and we built the building. That, in the year, it opened in 1981, your program said 1991, and it's been flourishing ever since. But I'll never forget the day in the spring of 1979 when my children were 9 and 6, and Hannah Gray and I started to dig in the ground. The ground that, in fact, was the place where there was a lot which contained Nobel Prize-winning corn. Can you place the two together? Yes. And my children began saying, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. And I leave you with that thought.